From Unity of Houston, Texas, this is the Awakened Life with Reverend Howard Caesar. Unity is a non-denominational spiritual community providing a positive, practical, and progressive approach to Christianity. Let's join the service in progress now with Reverend Howard Caesar.
So we are into a new year, and as you all know, every year and all of life includes making decisions and kind of thinking ahead. And we also like to kind of establish where we want to go with our energies and set intentions and what have you. It's all a learning experience. I'd like to share with you, there was a police recruit. He was studying to be a policeman, and he had taken some of the exams, and he was now in his oral exam. And so this police recruit was asked in the exam, what would you do if you had to arrest your own mother-in-law? And he said, I'd call for backup. So we are all faced with sometimes difficult situations and circumstances and decisions, and what would we do? Well, we need to call for backup. And so, from the spiritual sense, calling for backup is really connecting with the divine. Spirit is always there. There's a divine presence. There's a power. There is a light, a love, a wisdom, guidance. It's always there. As the song that was just sung so beautifully, I will never leave you. I will go before you. And just a beautiful message. And so all of us, I like to think of it as we're all on our journey. We're on our journey through life, and we will encounter different circumstances. Some will be the same, and some will be very different. Our challenges can be different, but there are lots of decisions as to who we're going to be, how we're going to show up, what it is that's going on for us. Sometimes we fall into patterns, and sometimes those patterns get old, and sometimes we don't even realize we're in a pattern. Sometimes it becomes glaringly obvious we're in a pattern, and we want to just bust out of it. In fact, there was a story a few years back it was actually in the New York papers. It was reported that there was this incident in which a particular bus driver that had been driving the same route for years, after he left off the last person on his bus, he decided to just leave the city. And so he drove his empty bus all the way. They caught up with him in Florida. And so anyway, the driver explained when they caught up with him that he had just grown tired of driving the same old route every day. So he just decided to break out of that and really go for a trip. The problem, the bus wasn't his, And so, while this was happening, the New York media was reporting it, and the incident, and they reported that the bus company itself was having a hard time deciding whether to punish him or not, and how to punish him. And so by the time he got back and was brought back to the Bronx, he became actually a bit of a celebrity. And there was a crowd waiting to greet and welcome him back, because the media was covering this. And so they announced at this arrival back that the bus company had decided not to turn him over to authorities for legal punishment, and they were not going to press any charges, and that they were going to give him his job back, actually, if he promised to make no more jaunts on his own to various places. And anyway, when all this was announced, there were loud cheers and roar from the crowd, really supporting this guy. And the point is, really, that they weren't supporting the idea that it's okay to steal a bus and not be punished or, have any repercussions. But what they were celebrating is they really saluted and celebrated and could relate to somebody having the courage or the adventuresomeness, if you will, to break out of an old rut and go for it in some way. They just kind of celebrated and could relate to that. And I think we all can. At some point in time, we get to the place where, something needs to change here. I need to get out of this routine or out of this rut. And maybe you have some of that going on. And this is a good time, to set new intentions as you head into a new year. I think it's a good time. But we're on this this journey upward. And in fact, I love the verse from Philippians where Paul says, and you're familiar with it, one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind and straining forward to what lies ahead, I press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. The upward call of God. And so when we think about the journey spiritually, it's always upward. You know, it's always to a higher frequency, it's to a higher vibration, it's to a higher sense of the awareness of God, the higher sense of the awareness of the beauty and the goodness of God, a higher sense of vibrating into the sense that you are connected with the one life that is God. It's always kind of upward. And, you know, it's interesting that I share a little trivia with you on this idea of moving up. There's a few animals that have difficulty doing that are meant to be able to. One is actually a bird, which is the buzzard. And the buzzard, if you put it in a pen that is 6 to 8 feet square and totally open at the top, it will be an absolute prisoner for life. It will never get out. Because basically, a buzzard, in order for it to fly, needs like 10 to 12 feet to get a running start before it can take off and fly. So there's no way for it to get out going up. Another little bit of trivia is that the ordinary bat that you see that flies around at night, it cannot take off from a level place. That basically it has to have some slight elevation in order for it to take into flight. And so if you see a bat on the ground, on a level space, flopping around, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's ill. It just needs to have some elevation in order to get back into flight. It has to find some way to push off in that way. It needs elevation. And then there's the bumblebee. And the bumblebee basically is, you know, if it's dropped into an open tumbler or jar that's open at the top, it basically will never go to the top. It basically goes to the bottom, keeps buzzing around at the bottom, is always kind of headed horizontal and never vertically. And it will die there in the jar, even though that you leave the top up. What does that say about us? I don't know. Except that we don't want to be a buzzard or a bat or a bumblebee, because we have the opportunity to rise higher. And that's what our spiritual heritage is about, that inherently we are to be looking up and thinking up, and then we can be up. And we want to be a being that is basically about upness, if you will. And so that's really a big part of life. And it's, you know, the upward call of God. I love that. I hope we're all listening for the upward call of God, because there's a spirit that moves in all of us. It's called life, and life is a life force, okay? And that life force has energy, and it has wisdom in it, and has knowingness. And as you engage with it at deeper and deeper levels, you connect with something that we refer to as the infinite. In other words, the life that is in you is also in me, and that has its infinite source, if you will, that we all are drawing upon, where there is no lack. And if there is a source or a force that we call love, then there is an infinite, unending, limitless source of that love. And if we believe that there is a source that is of wisdom and of guidance, then again, it is always there. It's not limited in any way. It is always accessible, and it always is up to us, really, to engage with it, develop a relationship with it, open to it, as opposed to heading horizontal or staying low, but actually get into higher frequencies and higher vibrations where we connect with that which is the infinite source. So there's an infinite reservoir of which we have access to. And, you know, we are the ones that say yes or no to this. We are the ones that run hot or cold on it. It's not like spirit in all of these forms is turning itself on or off. We are like a gate, and we have our own inner gate, and sometimes it's shut, sometimes it's open a crack, sometimes it swings wide, and we feel this life and this love and this energy pouring itself into us in bigger fashion. So who's swinging the gate? We ultimately really are. And it depends on how much the circumstances, the situations, what's happening externally have impacted us in terms of the inner network of our being, either closing down or opening up. So that's part of our spiritual growth and unfoldment, is to really be attuned to where we are, where the gate is, and how open or closed it is, and whether we're really looking horizontal or we're looking up, whether we're really building in energies that are upward or not. When you consider the idea that we're all in this life, there are things that we can do well and that enhance our life. There was, back in 10 years ago in 2006, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he shared what he felt were instructions for life as one was entering into that particular year. But what he shared, obviously, is good for any year that you might be entering in. So these instructions that he gave for life, and there's probably more beyond them, but here's what he shared. He said, 1, take into account that great love and great achievements involve great risk. 2, when you lose, don't lose the lesson. 3, follow the 3 R's. Respect for self, respect for others, and responsibility for all your actions. 4, remember that not getting what you want is sometimes a wonderful stroke of luck. 5, don't let a little dispute injure a great relationship. And 6, when you realize you've made a mistake, take immediate steps to correct it. Common sense, isn't it? Really. These are applicable to any year, any person's life. So we're all in this journey, and it's a journey of wanting to become more attuned to the movement of spirit, this one life, this one love, and more at one-ment, if you will. And the journey that we have is really to engage with all the same great truths, ideas, teachings, inspirations that all of the prophets, all of the sages, the seers, the masters, the mystics, all of them have had access to, have experienced in some degree, and have tried to convey and communicate to us. So there is a consistency. There's a chorus of voices out there that have experienced these higher frequencies and vibrations of connectedness to one source. And so we should never judge ourselves or another where we are on the path. We're just where we are, okay? It's a journey. And we need to be patient with ourselves. We need to love ourselves along the way, wherever we may be. But never forget also, wherever we may be, that this is a journey. And there are decisions to be made. And there are steps to be taken, and there is a thinking up and a looking up and then becoming up, the person that you were created to be, because there is the upward call that is always happening inside you if you're willing to listen. There is the gate in you that is swinging open or closed with every situation, encounter, and person that life thrusts in front of you to see really if you have learned, if there are lessons here to conceive and understand. And so we are on a journey of consciousness from atom consciousness of separation, or we fall into separation, back all the way to Christ consciousness, where Jesus was able to say and demonstrate, I and the Father are one. So oneness is what we all seek. And Jesus said, follow me. He said that in the Gospel of John. And he implied that there's a path there that takes all of us into that kind of light and understanding. He said, in fact, I am the light of the world, and he who follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. So there's a kind of life that has a lot of light in it, and that light is of an upward vibration and an upward frequency. And he told us that the life and power was actually not him. It was moving through him. He was accessing it, okay? And he encouraged us to journey into that energy as well. He called this process actually lifting up the Son of Man. That's what it was about, lifting up the Son of Man toward becoming the Son of God. And those were the terms that he used as best he could for the people of that day. But he said in the Gospel of John, quote, "When you have lifted up the Son of Man, then you will know that I am he, and that I do nothing on my own authority, but speak thus as the Father taught me. And he who sent me is with me. He has not let me alone." Like the song that was sung, "I am not alone. You'll never leave me. It is always there. It's always your backup. You can always go to it." And Jesus' backup was that I and the Father are one. And knowing that and accessing it. And he said, in wanting to make clear that he was not the source of the power, he said things like, "I do nothing of my own authority." That was his quote. He said, "I of mine own self can do nothing." He said, "He who sent me is with me, and he has not left me alone." Those are his words. And so that's his backup. So we're all on this amazing journey in life. And we just honor each other wherever we may be in that. And our lessons are different. Some are more painful than others. Some are more difficult than others. Some are seemingly more consistent than others. But all of them are giving us opportunity to learn and grow and to keep going to the backup, as Jesus taught, and have our gate open and know what is the truth here that I need to apply. What is it that I can learn here? We're all climbing a mountain, all right? And it's the same mountain. And it's a high place, and it's a high place where we have light and understanding, and we feel our connectedness with God, and it's beautiful and wonderful. And sometimes we get halfway up the mountain, and then we slide down, perhaps, with circumstances and conditions. But we're all journeying on that mountain, and we may be coming at that mountain from different sides and different paths, and we may be tackling it with different equipment and what have you. In fact, I want to share with you a story that is called Master of the Mountain, and it was actually written by a lady named Debbie Osborne, and it's a story that is a metaphor for our journey toward clarity, toward understanding, internal harmony, connectedness, spiritual awakening, whatever you want it to be. But I'm asking you to find yourself in this story. It has a lot to offer, I feel, and it's very symbolic. So here's the way the story goes. There was a group of people, and they sat around a table looking at the master of the mountain, this guy, this one who had climbed to the top, and he had seen the view, and he had returned to tell the people below, tell them all about the majesty and the beauty of this incredible mountain and what was there to experience. And the people were enthralled, and they were excited, and so they too, wanted to have the experience of the climb, and they too wanted to have this wondrous view. And so they asked the master if he would please lead them on the journey up the mountain. And the master stood there, and after some hesitation, he agreed to lead this group of people up the mountain and have them follow him. But he said, here are some guidelines. Here's what you need to know. First, he said, the climb is difficult, but there is no one here unable to make this climb if it is something he or she truly wants to do. Secondly, you are each responsible for yourself and how far you go up the mountain. I can guide you, but I can't carry you. Third, you may follow me on my path, but you must know that you have the freedom to choose a different path, because this climb is your own experience, and each of you will experience the climb in your own way. Fourth, many of you may discover along the way that you do not want to climb all the way to the top of the mountain, and that you're content to climb just part of the way. Please know that this is perfectly all right, and that you must go only as far as you are ready to go, determined to go, to reach your own level of fulfillment and contentment. Fifth, you must pack your own provisions for this journey. And you or I will not tell you what to pack or what you will or will not need, because each of you have different needs and different desires. Please know that it is you that will carry the weight of your pack, and it is you who will live from its contents. And the master turned to walk to the door, and he looked back and he said, I'm leaving at dawn tomorrow morning, and all those choosing to go can meet me here. I will not wait for those who are late. And he left the room. People were all excited. Oh my God, we're going to the top of the mountain. You know, we're about to embark on this great adventure, and he's going to lead us. And there are all these conversations. What should they take in this magical journey and what have you? Then the tone changed a little bit to kind of argumentative, because people began to argue about what to take along, what not to take along. No one could agree on what actually was needed for the journey. No one knew how much food or water would be needed, what kind of clothing would be needed. No one knew how long it would take to get to the top of the mountain. No one could answer these questions, even what the special gear, if any, was needed. People wanted to know what to take along. Certain folks wanted to take along entertainment and stuff, because that was some of their desires. They wanted to take along their cameras and their iPhones and their tablets and their laptops, and that was going to be in their packs, and all these different things. And some were saying, no, you don't need that. And so they stopped arguing, and they dispersed, and they began to agree that each one should simply pack their own packs. And so they went on their own, and they went about the business of packing, and some people, got it done pretty quick, and then others spent almost a whole night packing, trying to figure it out, analyze, what to take along, what not to take along. But at dawn the next morning, the master was waiting as the people filed into the room, and he smiled at what he saw. The people were barely visible under the huge packs that they had on their backs. And each person was struggling with the weight of the packs. However, the master said nothing. He just reached down, picked up his own pack, which was very light, threw it over his shoulder, and started walking towards the mountain. And the people, they stared at him, and then obviously saw this light little pack that he had, and they started crying out, Master, stop, stop. Why didn't you tell us we would only need a small pack? Why didn't you tell us what we would need for this journey? And the master turned, and he said, when I first climbed this mountain, I also started out with a large, heavy pack. It was during my climb that I discovered the true weight of what I carried. And it was from my own desire, that I lightened my load. I begin my climb this time with a much lighter load, because I have the wisdom of the first climb. I cannot dictate to you how you must climb or what it is you must carry. You must learn from your experience of the climb and lighten the load that you carry from your own desire and wish to be lighter. And the master turned, once again, walked towards the mountain. And the impact of what he said hit home, and the people understood. Each was responsible for his own climb, the weight that he carried, the choice of the path. And at this point, many of the people returned home. They weren't ready to take that level of responsibility for themselves. Others immediately lightened their loads and took off after the master up the mountain. Still others chose to carry the full weight of what they had packed and did their best and started to climb, even with the weight of the pack. And the master smiled at it all and said, "It is as it should be." We all have our own journey. It can look a little bit different. We can determine how much we're going to carry, how light the load, how heavy the load. That's why we talk about release, let go, the importance of it, lightening your load. I conclude this talk with having the new year, 2017, personified. Let's say 2017 is alive. It's a being, and it's talking to you, and it's giving you a message. And here's its message as you head into partnering with it. 2017 says, I am the new year, 2017. I am an unspoiled page in your book of time. I am your next chance at the art of living. I am your opportunity to practice what you have learned about life during the last 12 months. All that you sought and didn't find is hidden in me, waiting for you to search it out with more determination. All the good that you have tried for and didn't achieve is mine to grant when you have fewer conflicting desires. All that you dreamed but didn't dare to do, all that you hoped but did not will, all the faith that you claimed but did not have, these slumber lightly, waiting to be awakened by the touch of a strong purpose. I am your opportunity to renew allegiance to him who said, behold, I make all things new. I am the new year. May it be grand and glorious, and may your journey always be up. God bless you.
Thank you for joining us for today's message. We invite you to be with us again next Sunday. Unity is inclusive, welcoming people of all walks of life in dignity and love. We believe that love, strength, and goodness dwells within you. May we all live in unity with God, humanity, and all of God's creation. And remember, as Reverend Caesar says, life is meant to be good.
When you visit Unity of Houston, you'll find a spiritual community, a church where you can connect and learn and grow with a progressive approach to Christianity. At Unity, we welcome you no matter what your beliefs. You'll find a teaching, loving, inspiring experience as we help each other be all we're created to be. Check us out. We'd love to have you. Find us online at unityhouston.org, and remember, life is meant to be good.